Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Good morning! So, today's topic is going to be a little different. We're going to switch it up a little and go to photography. I know for the last couple of episodes, we've kind of, gotten deep or, kind of sometimes I'll get stuck on a certain topic and basically, just kind of get a little carried away. But I figured in today's episode we would talk about something definitely a lot lighter. This isn't really like I don't know what you'd kind of call this video, but I wanted to do or talk about macro photography and like why I want to learn it, what intrigues me about it, and all this other stuff. So really just a light-hearted topic, an easy talk, nothing too crazy or anything like that. So I definitely want to thank everybody for all the support. It's been amazing. This journey's been a lot different this time. Maybe because I'm a new mom. Maybe it's because I'm in a new time in my life. But either way, it's been different. So I definitely appreciate all the love and support and everything that everybody has been, just very supportive. But yeah, so good morning. It's like 10 o'clock, sorta. It's almost 11, so, and I've got my little coffee, so we are going to get into it. So, like I said, maybe you've seen my past, some of my past photography videos, maybe you haven't, but, I've been in the photography world for quite a long time, off and on, but really, a lot of it has been, I think I started in like 2011. I taught myself photography just because it really intrigued me, and I really just wanted to learn this art form. And yeah, I think I really started when I was 16, and I'm 33 now. So I've taught myself a lot. I've learned quite a bit. Some of it, it's not really something you forget. But if you haven't done photography in a while, you kind of get a little rusty. So, and I've been doing photography here and there, not professionally, just on the side. Kind of sort of professionally, and actually, here soon, I'm going to be doing videography a little bit here and there, so that should be fun. But, anyways, I love macro photography because it's a lot different. Like, it's not portraits, it's not street photography, it's not your typical photography form, I guess is what I'll say. So, macro photography is basically taking, like, let's say a picture of a landscape, and it really zooms into the blades of grass, or if there's kind of like a dewdrop on the blade of grass. Like, it really zooms into the landscape. So basically, in a nutshell, macro photography is exactly what it sounds like. It basically is just taking your normal photography, like landscape photography, street photography. Trying to think of anything else. I guess portraits, but you wouldn't really like zoom way in on. Well, I guess maybe an eye. That'd be interesting. Um, Essentially, macro photography is paying very close attention to details. Like you have microorganisms living in, your yard. I mean, you have all kinds of different things that I'm sure somebody out there is probably, like scientists and stuff like that. They're probably looking, at these and studying these. Not the photography, but the microorganisms. Um, but the macro photography isn't like really typically seen that much. It is in some ways, but not really. Like, okay, so I took a photo of a dragonfly a long time ago when I was on a trip with my sister. We went to, I think it was Laurel. I think that's the place in Asheville. It was in Asheville. I was taking some photos of us just to kind of document, we're making memories and all this stuff. And so I saw this dragonfly, and I actually, luckily, was able to get a really nice photo of it. And it looks like the dragonfly is actually smiling a little bit. So I thought that was kind of cute. But basically, if I had, the proper lens, because you need the proper lens, or, there's some like tips that you can put on the end of your lens so that way it magnifies more. But basically, I could have really zoomed in on the dragonfly's eye or the face, and really just, I guess it's like a different way to look at photography in general. So, like, if you were doing a photo of someone, like a portrait, you could, if you're doing macro photography, and this is kind of like a style, or usually you're going after a certain like look, or maybe you're only paying attention to animals and capturing that, or bugs, or like I said earlier, moss. Moss is a good one. You know, and really just it's kind of like highlighting the little things. You know what I mean? Which is, I guess, very fitting in life in general, like enjoy the small things, but I don't know, it just intrigues me because like I said, it's not something that you would typically see. Like, not everybody is trying to become a macro photographer and stuff like that. Um, I I think I had, I was in the woods or something, like in the woods, in the park, or at a park, if I can talk. I was at a park and I was doing, my typical photography slash grounding, that I do from time to time. And this has been years and years ago, like a long time ago. And I got this one photo where it's just really zoomed in on some of the moss that was growing on the ground, like, those patches of moss. Sometimes you see the moss on trees and stuff like that. But there's little, there's like a little, it's like a little city down there, So I don't know. I got that photo, and as I was looking back at the photos that I got from that day when I got back home, that's when it all started, I guess you could say. And so I was like, man, I didn't really know what it was called. So, I did some research and figured it out. And I was like, oh, I really want to do I want to teach myself macro photography because, like I said before, I'm a self taught photographer and also a self taught designer. So, and it all started because it was a hobby. It was something I wanted to do in my spare time. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to teach myself. Like, there's the internet, there's, you can do classes. Obviously, I went to college for it. So, yeah. And honestly, in college, I did take, just to fill up my schedule, I took all the photography courses so that way you can get a little certification. I just thought, maybe it'd be something to kind of beef up my degree a little. And, I'm glad I did it, but I didn't really learn that much. Like, I learned about, aperture, some lighting. We did do studio photography, which really, really, really intrigued me as well. What else? We did like basically slowing down your f stop and stuff like that. So, like the speed. So if you want to get like make the stream look like silk, how to do that and stuff like that. So, just your typical digital photography. Honestly, took it because I thought they were still doing film. Coming to find out, they weren't. It's all digital. So it was kind of a letdown, but I learned a few things. But I wish that they would have went through like the different types of photography, not just studio photography and how to do your lighting, but you know, um, kind of go in depth to the different types of photography and stuff like that and how to do it. Um, so yeah, that's basically, I think, all I really want to talk about. Um, if it wasn't that long ago, I would try to find that photo and, show it to you. And you know what? I think it's on my Instagram. So I'll try to go on there and show it to you. I'm sure you know, or you can kind of gather what I'm talking about, though. Like, it's just very intriguing. It's a different way to look at your normal objects. So, like I said, if you're taking a photo of a dragonfly, it's cool to take a nice photo of a dragonfly. But what's even cooler is to see the dragonfly's face and the details and really get that because in their eye, maybe it's got a crazy pattern, colors, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just very intriguing to be honest. So, um, and for me, something I think I forgot to talk about. So, like I said, I usually will go to a park or sometimes my backyard if I can, or around in my area. And I'll like put my phone on silent and stuff like that. It's kind of like my way of meditating, if that's how you want to look at it. So it's very grounding and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a moment that you can kind of take to yourself for yourself. So that's another kind of that's photography for me in general anyway. Like if I'm doing photography as a hobby, it is my way of meditating. It's my way of grounding myself. It's a way of, just clearing my mind, a stress reliever, and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to make sure. I kind of wrote down a few things, but nothing too crazy. Just because I really wanted to just kind of like have a video where it's not as structured. A lot of these videos, or these episodes that I do, here I go with videos again. A lot of the episodes that I do, some of them are structured, a bit more structured, some of them aren't. And sometimes I like the unstructured ones because you kind of just blab. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, nobody is actually watching our, like, okay, if you're viewing it on YouTube, you're probably not actually watching. You're probably putting it on. Maybe you got it in the corner of your screen while you're working, or maybe it's on while you do laundry or whatever. But, and usually I don't really show, like, I don't need to show you informative things. Now, that's not to say in future episodes that, I might do that, because I might, but like in my AI one, which on a, separate topic, so that video, I think did better than I thought it was gonna do. It's honestly just a fun video. I don't, typically use AI. Honestly, I don't use AI whatsoever. Well, honestly, or obviously, I would, go to Google. But I just thought it was funny because I put a little snippet on my Instagram. And which, by the way, all of my social media and stuff like that is in the description below, or the show notes below. So you can, follow me there. Typically I try to follow back and stuff like that. So kind of, be supportive as well. But anyways, it got a lot more attention than I thought it was. And, I don't know. I thought it was funny. It's funny. Yeah, I don't really think I missed anything. I guess so. I did look up like some macro lenses because that is something that I don't have, is a macro lens. And I know sometimes a new lens, a good quality new lens, can be very costly. So I have two cameras. I have an old Nikon D3200. It came with two lenses in the kit, your 18 to 55 millimeter, and I have it right here, the long range lens. This one is 55 to 200. Now, I am going to do a separate video on why these lenses are underrated, actually. Because, like I said, I've been in the industry for quite a while. I've been doing it professionally for a long time. So I've just really noticed, like, everybody's all about prime lenses and, you got to get, the 35 millimeter at 1.8 f-stop. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool and everything. Some of those prime lenses are manual focus. Some of them are. Nowadays, they, have come out more automatic and stuff like that. But I also have a Nikon, I think, 50 millimeter lens. It's a prime lens. It's good. It's manual. That's about it, So, but anyways, this came in the kit. And honestly, it's a good lens. So I'm going to be talking about more in depth into lenses on a separate episode. But yeah, so I have a Nikon, like I said, D3200. It's old. It's gotten me through a lot. A lot of weddings and portraits and events and stuff like that. So it's really treated me well. My other half is actually using it because he wants to learn some photography, more on the film side though. So, yeah. And then the other camera that I have that I'm using to film this with is my Sony A7 III. I went with that one because it's mirrorless. Unfortunately, in the kit, it didn't really have. Did it come with? I think it came with a lens, and I think that's about it. I think I paid like $2,000 for it, so it's a little bit more pricey because it's updated. The lenses are really great quality and stuff like that. So I haven't really used this camera like I wanted to. And of course, sometimes it takes time because you need money, obviously. And so you can't just go out and willy nilly buy lenses unless you maybe know someone who used to be a photographer and they're getting rid of their gear. Then, maybe you luck up or whatever. But so it came with, no, I think I bought the 85 millimeter. Right now, I'm filming with an 85 millimeter just to get the nice blurry background and stuff like that. I think it's at a 2.8 f-stop. So everybody's like, oh, that's not that great. But I mean, come on. It's really, honestly, really great lens. I like it too. This one is sort of like your long range in a way. It's a lot more wide lens. The lens that I am filming on is more closed in, I guess you could say. So it's not as a wide shot. This one is 28 to 70, so this is a very, very wide. It gives you a good range. Again, underrated and stuff like that. So macro lenses can, like I said before, they can run you a pretty penny depending on the lens and stuff like that. Like you do have your Sigma and your, I think it's Tamron. Those are like your off-brand lenses, but honestly, if you look into how they're made, it's literally, I think they're made in the same facility almost. Like it's still good quality. So, you can't go wrong. Okay, so my Sony is an E mount, so I'd have to pay attention to that. Or you can also get an adapter ring that you can use with some of your lenses. You can also use old film lenses that way, but you have to watch that. I would do a lot of research because you can really mess up your camera if you don't do it properly. So, because I do have an old Nikon film camera that I'd love to use the 35 millimeter with my Nikon or my Sony. Because I've heard some people using Nikon lenses with their Sony camera. I don't know that I'd recommend that. I haven't done it, so I'm not sure. So we'll see. But, anyways, you definitely want the magnification. So you can either get a long range lens and do it that way, or there's adapters that you can put on the end of your lens and you can do some great photos with. So yeah, it says Sony FE 90 millimeter. There's a 70 millimeter. The 90 millimeter is a pro camera or pro lens, so it's gonna run you roughly $1,000. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm not saying a lot. Sometimes that's what happens whenever I don't really have a structured, I sit down and put down my little bullet points, write stuff out, but we're just going to go with it. Sorry. if I've said 5,000 times. Here's a Sony 50 millimeter. All of these, it looks like all of these are 2.8 f-stop. But the 70 Sigma is going to run you roughly $500. The Sony FE 50 millimeter is going to run you roughly $500. So it used to be in the old days that Sigma and Tamron were more affordable. So that way everybody can be included and do photography and stuff like that. But these days, you might some lenses, depending on the lens, I've seen prices where you might as well just go ahead and buy the Sony lens. You also have to watch. Okay, so that was macro. Those were true macro lenses. I'm going to go through the rest of the lenses and then I'll say what I was going to say if I remember. Longer range macro lenses. I've not heard of this brand before. That's interesting. Is Loa. I don't know if I said that right, but it runs you roughly $500 to $600. It's a 100 millimeter. Sigma 105 millimeters. And it's going to run you roughly $800. So these are good for portraits. Well, that one was. And it has a macro versatility. So that's the reason why I say these lenses right here that come in your little kit that you think are terrible. Because I've heard professional photographers say, oh, don't you might as well throw away the lenses that come in your kit. No. If your kit comes with a lens like this, like mine did, almost 10 plus years ago, do not think for 1 second that this is a trash lens, because guess what? It's not. It's very versatile. That's the reason why I want to do. I'm trying not to say too much because then I might as well just go ahead and include it in with this one. But I really want to do, a deep dive, sort of your long range lenses. Like this one is 55 to 200. Like I said, it's very versatile. That's all I have to say. So it's not trash in my mind. It might be to you. Maybe you're a lens collector or whatever, or maybe you have a lot of money. That's great. I don't have a lot of money. But also too, like I say, you have to use what you have. And if you have one of these, this right here is gold. But anyways, so that's besides the point. The other lens that I can't really pronounce, it's ideal for bugs, textures, and creative macro. And then you have some budget options. Wow. Maybe I need to take a swig of coffee. Okay, so I've not heard of this brand either. It says 7 Artisans. It's a 60 millimeter, and it's gonna run you roughly $160. I'm very intrigued by that. Wow. And it says fun lens if you're wanting to explore macro without the big investment. A lot of these cameras, like even if you wanted to get into long range photography and stuff like that, like a lot of these lenses are, pretty pricey. But yeah. So anywho, that's basically about it. I mean, I will keep you all posted. I might, because I don't really have a long range lens per se. I've got this one for my Sony the 70 or the 28 to 70, and it's pretty good. But I'm trying to find something similar to this Nikon one, just so I can kind of experiment with that. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here because I don't want to make this video too long, just because it's supposed to be sort of a shorter one anyway. I didn't want to go into too much depth, but yeah. Honestly, if you're into photography, if you're teaching yourself, all I have to say is just stay positive, do a lot of research. There's a lot of videos out there nowadays, whether you're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. There's a lot of ways that you can learn what you want to learn and what you want to do in photography. So, as always, stay positive and, like I said, do a lot of research. That's how I began. That's how I was able to teach myself. I started a little notebook. Actually, this is not the one, but I have a little black notebook that's similar to this one, where it's kind of like the field notes little notepad or whatever, and you can, just sit down, put in macro photography, and then write down some key points, so that way you can maybe take this with you and you can actually do what you're wanting to do outside or in your house. If it's something that you can kind of test with inside your house, that's cool. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this one. It's a more lighter one and hopefully not so long. So I will see you all in my next one. And yeah, everybody have a great day. And as always, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.